Hello everyone and welcome to week 5. This week I'm going to have a couple different tutorials, and this one was going to be on conditional statements. So we'll start with if and else statements. So when we're thinking about if and else, we're thinking about either make one decision or not. So let's say hypothetically, um, in this condition you'll write a lot of pseudocode out, just coming up with ideas. So for example, let's say that we have a flow chart, and it starts off with step 1 is to go west on, say, Route 28. Well, actually be south. So go south on Route 28 in Pittsburgh, and then your next step is, once you go south, where do you go from there? Then it might be turn left onto trying to think of a street, 7th Avenue. You know what? Turn left onto the Roberto Clemente Bridge. Then you come across the bridge and you have to make a decision. You're like, okay, if decision could be if 6th Street is closed, then I will take the Fort Duquesne Boulevard. Else, if 6th Street is open, I will take 6th Street to 5th Avenue. And these conditions can go down a line. So these are just conditional statements. So when you're creating a program dealing with conditional statements, you're saying if this condition is met, then this will happen. Or if that condition is met, then that'll happen. So another good example is, let's say that you have a button on a screen, you have a text box, and the user enters his or her name, and you have a program that if his name has a value of more than 7 characters, then you could say, well, you must have a minimum of 6 characters or 8 characters or something like that. So you can set those types of levels in and allow the end user to not proceed or to proceed. So what we'll do is we'll set up a conditional statement. So we already have a source set up. We'll go right click, select class, we'll call it conditional. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to declare a value here. So I'm going to give it an integer value, call it int. Well, let's just do this. String direction north equals north. String direction west equals west. Alright, and let's give a number, int direction high equals 3, and direction low equals 7. Alright, so now we have some values that we could use. As you see, like the uppercase. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to write our conditional statement. So we'll say if direction north equals, you have to do equals for on string values, north. What you do here is you do this. So we do our open and close bracket, and we want to print something. We'll say system out dot print line. This is the correct way to travel. Alright, so we'll just can't spell. We'll end that for now. So now if we run this, let's say this is the correct way to travel. The reason being is value up here, direction north, that we're using, we're saying, hey, if it equals north, which remember is equals, if I do like one equal, it won't work. It only works if you only want to use one equal if you're doing a number. So in this case, we know it equals north. Let's say that we have to add a else statement. We'll say else if direction north doesn't equal north, then we could say system.out.println. This is the incorrect way to travel. So what we'll do is we'll come up here and choose N. Okay, and then if we run it, look at that, it is incorrect because it doesn't match that value. Direction north is looking for specific information. It's not looking for a wildcard, it's looking for specific information. So that's one way of doing it. Then we can come down here and say, oh, let's see here. All right, so now we could also add another condition in here. We can add multiple conditions, so we could use the and add another condition. We could say and direction. What we do is we put more criteria on your condition statement. So we could say direction north. We're still using the same one. Equals 23. Did I spell that right? Okay, what am I spelling wrong here? Alright, so who's on my mind? It's direction high. Using the wrong value equals 23. So now we're saying if it's north and 23 and it changes to north, then it's going to say this is the correct way to travel. So now if I run this, look, it says correct way to travel. Now I could also add the values in there as well. So how would I do that? I would do plus direction north equals, and then I would do a plus the value direction north. So now if I run it, it'll say, well, I have that travel in there, so we'll have to add a space. Say travel direction north equals north. So that is just a basic understanding of how to use the conditional statement. So you could just keep building on that. You could even come up with, say, else, instead of saying else, let's see here, let me think, else, just an else, and you can have system.out.println, none of the options were selected. So what we would do here is we would make sure that this guy is spelled wrong. We'll make it lowercase, we'll make this 2233. So what will happen is we'll come down and say, is direction north equal to north? No. And does it equal 23? Well, it equals, well, you know what, let's just leave it 23. It has one of them right, but one of them wrong. They both have to be right. They both have to match. So in this case, they're not going to match. So it's going to go down to the next condition. It's going to say, else if direction north is not equal to north, which is true. So this one right here would get called. So let's see here. So this right here will never get called right now. So if we run this, see, it's not the incorrect way to travel. So what we could do is, let's remove this for a second. And we can say, oh, you know what, let's do this, Control Z. We could change that around and say if, because we know it's not equal to 23, but we can say if, let's see here, not equal to north. Let's change it to north. That one there. So we're saying, is it equal to something else? Which we know it's not. Then what should happen is this last selection should get chosen. Alright, so last option. None of your options were selected. So that basically means that it wasn't able to find that condition. So this is just a basic understanding of conditional statements. I'll talk about switch statements next.